It's the 24th of June 2025, and today the New South Wales government just released its budget for the next year. And there's a huge emphasis on housing, obviously, because housing has been a much talked about topic in the election.
Housing will also be front and centre. And to build the workforce building the homes, a $3.4 billion TAFE and skills package, including more than $40 million to fund 23,000 extra fee-free construction apprenticeships.
So the New South Wales government in its budget has jumped on the bandwagon and has started throwing money at all these initiatives to increase the housing stock. But there's an elephant in the room. There's many elephants, but there's one elephant in the room here that I want to talk about.
Built a house through a friend of ours. He's a builder. He's a good friend, and we didn't have to spend too much money, but he's built a very big house for us. And although it's brand new, I just kind of keep on asking him to repair things. He's quite busy with other things and so on. We've got a collarbond. It's quite a big house, a 2-story. It's a brand new collarbond. I can't tell you what it's leaking inside when there's a heavy rain. It has to be pretty heavy to leak, and it's seepage along the garage. It's all concrete construction underneath, so there is no wooden structures or. There's a seepage down to the garage and along the window on the front and the back. It's not a lot, but there is a seepage. I'm pretty sure it's coming from the ceiling, from the roof. And I've had a guy come over to have a look at it. He thought there was a problem, so he changed the barge on both sides and did some things, but it eased, but it hasn't completely stopped the leak.
Okay, the guy who came and did the repair, was he associated with the builder, or the builder?
No. Just I just called him. He's a local guy. It's simply roofing. He just does roofing.
Okay.
And he's promised that he will come back if there was a problem. I rang a couple of times and a few things, and he just never returned anything.
All right, so his repair was not successful and he doesn't want to come back.
Partially successful.
Okay, partially, okay. Well, we can all argue about how partial it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, throwing money at housing initiatives is certainly one way to increase housing stock. And I'm sure there are a lot of smart thinkers out there who go, we need more housing, therefore we need more workers. Now, the question is, where do we get these workers from? And if you look at the actual budget papers, you'll see that there's a big emphasis in encouraging young Australians who are in school to actually take up the trade rather than go and take up the traditional white-collar jobs. Well, that's one way of trying to get more people in the building industry. The second thing is trying to improve migrants who come over and actually enroll them in the building trade. Traditionally, most migrants, when they come into Australia, want to work in a white-collar job. Now, the emphasis now is to try to get them into the blue-collar jobs, into the trades, because construction is where the new demand is going to be. We just need to have enough workers to construct the infrastructure and the housing that we need. So the New South Wales government says in the next year, we will be spending money on TAFEs, we will be spending money on employers to try to get them to employ apprentices. We want to bring more apprentices on board, spend a lot of money on TAFE. And this seems like the only way that we can viably increase the construction workforce. Now, so far, so good. So what's this elephant in the room that I'm talking about? Well, my experience in the roofing game, it is not the number of roofers out there who's actually doing roofing work, but it is the skills that these roofers have in being able to do the job properly. So now I'm asking the question, who is going to be training all these new apprentices and these new migrants? Now, in traditional education, you go to higher education to learn how to be a teacher. Then you acquire the skills and have the ability to actually teach. It's a little bit different in the trades, because we don't actually have a system to train the trainers. And by this, I mean, if you were to go to TAFE, who is going to be teaching all the young apprentices the correct way to do things? Because I don't think there's actually a system to train the trainers. So you have all these new apprentices coming in to try to learn stuff. But where are these new teachers coming from? Because there's no trade school to train the trainers. Now, we at the Roofing Portal have put quite a few apprentices through the apprenticeship through the TAFE system. And based on the feedback from these apprentices and what we see from the apprentices, the training is just not that good. So from a position of not so good training with the existing workload of apprentices, you throw in all these new apprentices. Is the same trainer going to be training more apprentices, or are we going to be getting more new trainers? And will these new trainers be any good? Are they going to be any better? So we may be getting this new wave of new workers in the building trade, but if they're not skilled enough, if they haven't been trained sufficiently, then we have a wave of semi-skilled tradies. And what happens with semi-skilled tradies? Quality goes down, and we're going to be going backwards. So instead of all these new housing for our new population, we'll have a stock of new housing, substandard housing for our new population. And that is the elephant in the room. Now, roofing is our business, and a roof is certainly a part of a house. And the reason I feel so strongly about training is that we see so much semi-skilled roofing work out there that I'm almost certain that the majority of roofers out there just have not got the right training. And as soon as you get inadequate training, you get substandard results, and we get a lot of faults. And you can see that we get a lot of work from homeowners who are just frustrated with their experiences with roofers because they don't seem to be able to get it right. And somehow I don't think it's the roofer's fault. It's the system. They haven't been trained sufficiently. Surely if they had the right training, they would know what we would know. It may mean that we get a lot less business, but the point is that we are only a tiny proportion of the roofers here in Australia, and there's only so much that we can do, right? So I'm going to ask you to think about this question. We're throwing all this money, we're trying to get more people into the building industry, and roofing is part of the building industry. At the moment, we're seeing so much substandard work. And I think substandard work is due to just lack of training because the trainers themselves haven't been trained properly. They are not up to date with what needs to be done. So if the standard of the trainers are not up to scratch, there's going to be no improvement. There's no productivity improvement. In fact, productivity will actually go down. So I'm going to ask you this question. Where will all these new trainers for this new wave of tradies, where will these trainers come from?